Money isn't just a numbers game, it's a behavioral game. This is the main idea that Morgan Housel introduces in The Psychology of Money. People believe that becoming rich is all about financial knowledge, knowing how to invest, understanding the stock market, or creating business plans. But the truth is, wealth is more about how you behave with money than what you know about it. Think about it. Why do lottery winners often go broke within a few years? Why do some people with modest incomes retire comfortably while high earners end up in debt? The answer lies in the way we think about, react to, and manage money. The role of luck and risk in financial success. One of the first powerful lessons Morgan shares is the role of luck and risk. These two forces shape financial outcomes more than we like to admit. Take, for example, Bill Gates, a brilliant man, but also someone who had access to a rare computer lab in high school, a privilege almost no one had at the time. His success wasn't just intelligence, it was also luck. On the flip side, some incredibly smart and hard-working people never make it big because they face risks outside their control. Light bulb key insight: instead of obsessing over individual success stories, focus on broad patterns of behavior that consistently lead to wealth. This means saving consistently, living below your means, and making investments that grow over time. Wealth versus riches: what you don't see. Morgan makes a critical distinction. Rich people show their money: expensive cars, big houses, flashy clothes. Wealthy people have money they don't show: investments, savings, and financial freedom. The biggest mistake people make is trying to look rich instead of actually being wealthy. Many spend to impress others, sacrificing long-term freedom for short-term admiration. Speech balloon: wealth is what you don't see. The truth: the less you spend, the more you can invest, and the wealthier you become. The richest people often live modestly because they understand that wealth buys freedom, not things. The power of compounding, the eighth wonder of the world. One of the most profound concepts Housel discusses is compounding, something most people underestimate. Look at Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. Most of his wealth came after his 50th birthday. Why? Because Buffett started investing at 10 years old and never stopped. The longer your money has to grow, the bigger the results become exponentially. Light bulb lesson: it's not just how much you earn, but how long you let your money work for you. Time is the most powerful force when building wealth. Key takeaways from Session 1, heavy checkmark: behavior knowledge. Your financial success depends more on your habits than complex financial strategies. Heavy checkmark: respect luck and risk, don't copy others blindly, focus on proven principles. Heavy checkmark: wealth is hidden, true wealth is the money you don't spend. Heavy checkmark: start early, stay consistent, compounding needs time. Start today, no matter how small. Why financial success requires emotional intelligence, not just IQ. Financial outcomes are rarely dictated by intelligence alone. In fact, some of the smartest people make the biggest money mistakes because money decisions aren't always rational, they're emotional. Morgan Housel emphasizes that your relationship with money is deeply personal, shaped by experiences, upbringing, and even trauma. For instance, someone who grew up during an economic crisis may fear losing money and avoid risks, even if those risks are necessary for growth. Another person raised during prosperous times might take on too much risk, believing everything will always work out. Light bulb key insight: money decisions are driven by fear, greed, optimism, and uncertainty. To be financially successful, you must first understand how your emotions influence your financial behavior and learn to control them. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich are two completely different skills. Getting wealthy often requires risk-taking, optimism, and bold moves, but staying wealthy demands humility, caution, and fear of losing what you have. Housel shares that survival is the key to long-term wealth. It's not about making the biggest gains, it's about avoiding catastrophic losses that wipe out years of progress. Key practical tips to stay wealthy: plan for the unexpected. Always keep a margin of safety in your finances. Avoid debt traps. Debt magnifies risk and can destroy wealth overnight. Don't chase market trends. Stick with long-term strategies that compound over time. Speech balloon: getting money requires taking risks, keeping it requires the opposite. Freedom, the ultimate dividend of wealth. Why do you want money? Morgan argues that the highest form of wealth is freedom, the ability to control your time and do what you want, when you want. Money isn't just about buying things, it's about buying control over your life. The more wealth you build, the more autonomy you gain. This freedom is far more valuable than luxury items that tie you down with debt and obligations. Rocket lesson: real success is when you can wake up and choose how you spend your day without financial worries dictating your schedule. The role of patience and long-term thinking. One of the most overlooked principles in building wealth is patience. Everyone wants fast results, but money grows exponentially when left alone. Light bulb: consider this: most of Warren Buffett's net worth came after his 50s. The greatest returns come in the final stretch of compounding, which you only get if you're patient enough. The takeaway: stop looking for shortcuts. The longer your time horizon, the greater your rewards. Never underestimate the power of enough. Chasing more money, more status, more recognition can be dangerous. The problem is, more has no limit. Without a clear understanding of what is enough for you, you'll take unnecessary risks that can cost everything. Speech balloon: if you risk what you have for what you don't need, it's foolish. Housel reminds us that knowing when to stop is a form of wisdom. Defining enough helps you avoid reckless decisions that could ruin years of hard work. Key takeaways from Session 2. Heavy checkmark: master your emotions. Emotional intelligence is critical for smart financial decisions. Heavy checkmark: survive to thrive. Focus on avoiding big losses rather than chasing big wins. Heavy checkmark: freedom over luxury. Wealth buys time and autonomy, not just things. Heavy checkmark: patience pays off. The greatest financial rewards come from long-term thinking. Heavy checkmark: define enough. Know your goals to avoid taking foolish risks. The influence of your personal experiences on financial decisions. Have you ever wondered why two people with similar incomes can have completely different attitudes toward money? One might save every penny, while the other spends freely. According to Morgan Housel, the reason is simple: our financial behavior is shaped by our life experiences, not by facts and figures. For example, someone who grew up during the Great Depression may have an extreme fear of financial loss, leading them to hoard cash instead of investing. On the other hand, a person raised in a booming economy may feel overly confident, leading them to take huge risks without fear of consequences. Housel explains that we all see money differently because we've all lived different financial lives. This means we should be careful when taking advice from others because their strategies are based on their unique experiences, not necessarily what's best for us. Light bulb lesson: instead of blindly following someone else's financial plan, ask yourself, heavy checkmark, does this strategy align with my goals and risk tolerance? Heavy checkmark: am I making decisions based on facts or emotions from past experiences? Why people struggle to hold on to wealth. Earning money is one thing, but keeping it is an entirely different challenge. Many people build wealth quickly but lose it just as fast. Why? Because they assume that once they've made money, they'll always have it. But here's the truth: keeping money requires a completely different mindset than making it. Making money often involves risk-taking, bold moves, and optimism. Keeping money requires humility, caution, and a deep respect for how quickly things can change. Many lottery winners, celebrities, and athletes lose their fortunes because they believe that high earnings mean permanent wealth. But the key to lasting wealth isn't how much you make, it's how much you keep and grow over time. Light bulb lesson: the secret to holding on to wealth is to be humble and cautious, even when things are going well. Never assume your current success will last forever. The power of saving, even without a clear goal. One of the most underrated financial habits is saving money even if you don't have an immediate reason to. Many people believe that saving is only for specific purposes, like buying a house or retirement, but Housel argues that saving for the unknown is one of the smartest financial moves you can make. Why? Because life is unpredictable. Emergencies happen. Opportunities arise. And when they do, the person with savings has options, while the person without savings is forced to take whatever they can get. Speech balloon: having savings is like having flexibility. It gives you the power to make better choices. Even if you don't know exactly what you're saving for, having extra money gives you control over your future. Rocket actionable tip: start setting aside even a small percentage of your income as a financial safety net. You never know when you'll need it. Wealth is a long game, avoid the illusion of quick success. In today's world, it's easy to believe that wealth happens overnight. Social media is filled with stories of young entrepreneurs, crypto millionaires, and viral success stories. But what we don't see is the years of work, failures, and discipline behind the scenes. Housel warns against falling for the illusion of fast success. In reality, heavy checkmark, most wealthy people built their fortunes slowly over decades. Heavy checkmark: true wealth comes from consistency, not one-time wins. Heavy checkmark: the faster you try to get rich, the more likely you are to lose everything. Slow and steady wins the race. The key to building long-term wealth is to trust the process and stay patient. Light bulb lesson: be skeptical of any financial advice that promises quick and easy wealth. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Key takeaways from Session 3, Heavy checkmark: your money habits are shaped by your experiences. Be mindful of how your past affects your decisions. Heavy checkmark: earning money and keeping money require different skills. Never assume success will last forever. Heavy checkmark: save money even when you don't have a clear reason to. It gives you freedom and options. Heavy checkmark: avoid chasing quick riches. The most successful people build wealth slowly over time. The power of compounding: small gains, massive results. One of the most underrated forces in building wealth is compounding. Most people understand the idea in theory: invest money, and it grows. But few truly grasp how powerful compounding becomes over long periods. Morgan Housel uses Warren Buffett as a prime example. Buffett's net worth is impressive, but the real story is in how he built it. He started investing at age 10 and continued for over 80 years. Nearly 97% of his wealth came after his 65th birthday. Why? Because compounding doesn't just add up, it multiplies exponentially over time. Speech balloon: good investing is not necessarily about earning the highest returns. It's about earning pretty good returns that you can stick with for the longest period of time. Key insight: success doesn't come from big, flashy wins. It comes from consistency over decades. The longer you stay invested and avoid major losses, the more you benefit from compounding's unstoppable force. Tails drive everything: the impact of a few big wins. Housel explains a concept that many overlook: tails drive everything. In other words, a small number of big events often account for the majority of outcomes. Think about investments. A few key stocks in a portfolio may generate the bulk of the returns, while most others perform moderately. The same applies in business. A few major decisions or product successes can define an entire career. Light bulb lesson: you don't have to win every time. You just need a few big wins. Stay in the game long enough, and eventually, the tail events will work in your favor. The importance of room for error. No matter how confident you are, the future is uncertain. The best financial plans are the ones that build in a margin of safety, room for error in case things don't go as expected. Speech balloon: the most important part of every plan is planning on your plan not going according to plan. Successful investors prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. They don't assume everything will go perfectly. Instead, they leave space for mistakes, market downturns, and unforeseen expenses. Shield practical strategies: always keep some cash reserves. Diversify your investments to minimize risk. Don't rely on best-case scenarios, plan for setbacks. You're never fully in control, and that's okay. A humbling truth about money is that luck and risk are always in play. No matter how carefully you plan, there are always factors outside your control: economic downturns, health issues, or global crises. Housel encourages readers to accept uncertainty and not overestimate their ability to predict outcomes. Rather than seeking perfect certainty, focus on strategies that work regardless of what happens. Light bulb lesson: focus on what you can control. Heavy check mark your savings rate. Heavy check mark your spending habits. Heavy check mark your ability to stay invested over the long term. The power of independence: wealth buys freedom. One of the most profound points Housel makes is that wealth isn't just about money, it's about freedom. What people truly want isn't a fancy car or a big house, it's the ability to control their own time. Wealth gives you the power to spend time with family. Work on projects you're passionate about. Say no to things you don't want to do. Speech balloon: controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. The real measure of wealth isn't luxury, it's autonomy. The more financially secure you become, the more control you have over your choices and lifestyle. Key takeaways from Session 4: Heavy check mark: compounding requires time. The longer you stay invested, the greater your gains. Heavy check mark: a few big wins matter more than many small ones. Focus on staying in the game. Heavy check mark: always plan for uncertainty. A margin of safety is essential for lasting wealth. Heavy check mark: control your time. True wealth means having the freedom to live life on your terms. Heavy check mark: accept what you can't control. Focus your energy on decisions within your reach. Wealth is what you don't see. Morgan Housel makes a critical distinction: wealth is invisible. The luxury cars, designer clothes, and expensive homes people show off are signs of spending, not wealth. True wealth is what you don't see, it's the money saved, invested, and quietly growing in the background. It's the financial security that isn't flaunted. Speech balloon: spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Many people fall into the trap of wanting to appear rich rather than actually being rich. But real wealth is the freedom that comes from having resources that aren't spent. Light bulb lesson: every dollar you don't spend is a dollar that buys you future freedom. The next time you're tempted by a status symbol, ask, heavy check mark: am I spending this to impress others? Heavy check mark: would saving this bring me closer to my long-term goals? Reasonable, rational: why being smart isn't enough? When it comes to money, being rational isn't always realistic. Housel argues that being reasonable, making decisions that work for you emotionally, is often more important than making purely rational choices. For example, you might know that investing all your savings in the stock market could yield higher returns. But if that strategy makes you anxious and keeps you up at night, it's not the right choice. Speech balloon: a strategy that you can stick with, even if it's not optimal, will always outperform the one you can't. Key insight: the best financial plan is one you can consistently follow. It's okay to make decisions that aren't mathematically perfect if they help you stay invested and avoid panic. You and me: why context matters in money decisions. Everyone's financial journey is different. What works for one person might be completely wrong for another. For example, a young investor with a long time horizon can afford to take bigger risks. Someone close to retirement should prioritize preserving wealth over aggressive growth. Housel emphasizes that context matters. Your financial decisions should reflect your goals, risk tolerance, and life stage, not what someone else is doing. Lightbulb lesson: don't compare your financial choices to others. Instead, ask, what does financial success look like for me? What risks am I willing to take? The seduction of pessimism. Interestingly, bad news grabs more attention than good news. This is especially true in finance. Market crashes, recessions, and economic downturns dominate headlines because pessimism sounds smarter. Housel points out that while problems are temporary, growth and progress are the long-term norm. The stock market, for instance, has always recovered from downturns given enough time. Speech balloon: optimism sounds like a sales pitch. Pessimism sounds like someone trying to help you. Shield mindset shift: recognize that setbacks are normal in any financial journey. Stay optimistic about the future while preparing for short-term volatility. Understand that long-term progress often hides behind short-term problems. Wealth versus rich: the critical difference. Housel stresses the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich means you have a high income and can afford luxury. Wealthy means you have financial freedom, security, and the ability to live on your own terms. Lightbulb: many people chase being rich, buying things to show status without realizing that this spending prevents them from becoming truly wealthy. Speech balloon: wealth is hidden. It's income not spent. It gives you options, flexibility, and growth. Key takeaways from Session 5, wealth is hidden. It's what you don't spend that builds financial freedom. Be reasonable, not just rational. Stick with plans you can emotionally handle. Context is key. Your financial plan should reflect your personal situation. Optimism wins long term. Don't let short-term pessimism derail your future. Aim for wealth, not just riches. Focus on building assets, not appearances. You're not alone. Luck and risk shape every financial story. Morgan Housel reminds us that luck and risk play a significant role in every financial outcome. We often like to believe that success is solely the result of smart decisions and hard work. However, circumstances beyond our control, like being born into a certain family, time period, or country, have a huge impact. Speech balloon: nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. Every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. For example, Bill Gates attended one of the few high schools in the world with a computer. Was he brilliant? Absolutely. But his success was also influenced by that rare opportunity. On the other hand, many brilliant people never had access to such opportunities. Lightbulb lesson: don't judge others harshly for financial failures. Risk plays a role. Don't overestimate your own brilliance. Luck has contributed to your success. Focus on broad principles that increase the odds of success rather than assuming you can control every outcome. When enough is enough, the danger of greed. One of the most important lessons in the psychology of money is knowing when you have enough. The relentless pursuit of more money, more power, more prestige can lead to risky decisions that destroy everything. Speech balloon. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Countless stories of financial ruin come from people who didn't know when to stop. They had enough but kept pushing for more until everything came crashing down. Stop sign. Ask yourself, heavy check mark, what does enough look like for me? Heavy check mark. Would chasing more compromise what I already value? Knowing when to stop is the difference between sustainable wealth and eventual regret. Compounding, time, not intelligence, wins. Many people underestimate the power of time in building wealth. It's not about making the most brilliant investments, it's about staying in the game long enough for compounding to work its magic. Speech balloon. Good investing is not necessarily about making good decisions. It's about consistently not screwing up. You don't need genius-level strategies, you need to start early. Stay invested. Avoid major losses. Time turns average returns into extraordinary wealth. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. The skills required to get wealthy are different from those needed to stay wealthy. Getting wealthy often requires taking risks, being optimistic, and spotting opportunities. Staying wealthy demands humility, caution, and patience. Speech balloon. There are a million ways to get wealthy, but only one way to stay wealthy, some combination of frugality and paranoia. Shield key mindset for staying wealthy, always prepare for bad luck. Never assume current success will last. Keep your lifestyle below your means. Freedom, the ultimate goal of wealth. According to Housel, the highest form of wealth is the ability to control your time. True financial freedom is having the choice to do what you want, when you want. Speech balloon. The ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today, is the most valuable currency. Money itself isn't the goal. The goal is what money allows you to do: spend time with loved ones. Pursue passions without financial stress. Live without being tied to a job you dislike. This perspective shifts wealth from being about possessions to being about possibilities. Avoiding the just one more trap. One of the most dangerous financial mindsets is the belief that you need just a little more before you'll be happy. This mindset can push people into risky investments, unnecessary debt, or burnout. Speech balloon. If you don't know what enough looks like, the default is never enough. Seedling. Practice gratitude, define what financial success looks like for you. Recognize when you have enough to live comfortably. Focus on enjoying life rather than endlessly chasing more. Key takeaways from Session 6, heavy checkmark. Luck and risk influence every outcome. Don't overcredit or overblame anyone, including yourself. Heavy checkmark. Know you're enough. Chasing more can lead to disaster. Heavy checkmark. Time beats intelligence. Consistency and patience win. Heavy checkmark. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy require different mindsets. Learn both. Heavy checkmark. True wealth equals freedom. Use money to buy back your time. Heavy checkmark. Resist the just one more mentality. Define success and appreciate it when you achieve it. Saving money, the secret weapon of financial success. Most people think getting rich is about earning more money. But Morgan Housel argues that saving money is far more powerful than increasing income. Speech balloon. Building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns and lots to do with your savings rate. Even a high salary means nothing if you spend everything. On the other hand, someone with a modest income but a strong saving habit can build lasting wealth. Key insight: wealth is built not by how much you earn, but by how much you keep. Light bulb practical saving tips: heavy checkmark, live below your means, regardless of income. Heavy checkmark, avoid lifestyle inflation, don't upgrade just because you can. Heavy checkmark, prioritize flexibility and financial security over short-term luxury. Why people struggle to save: the psychology of spending. Many people fail to save because they don't see an immediate reward. Saving money feels boring compared to spending it on experiences or possessions. Housel explains that our brains are wired for instant gratification. We seek short-term pleasure even when it harms our long-term goals. Speech balloon: the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Hammer and wrench solution: rewire your perspective on saving. View saving as an investment in freedom, not deprivation. Recognize that money in the bank is buying control over your future. Remember, wealth is what you don't see. Just because you don't flaunt riches doesn't mean you don't have them. Survival over maximization: why playing it safe wins. A common mistake in finance is chasing the highest possible returns without considering risk. Speech balloon: you don't need the highest returns. You need pretty good returns that you can sustain for the longest period. Trying to maximize profits often leads to higher risks, panic selling, and losses. Instead, focus on staying in the game for decades by making sustainable, lower-risk choices. Shield survival strategies: heavy checkmark, keep an emergency fund, liquidity is power. Heavy checkmark, avoid unnecessary debt, debt removes financial control. Heavy checkmark, invest with a long-term perspective, stop chasing quick wins. The paradox of wealth: more money, more worry. Many assume that having more money eliminates financial stress. In reality, wealth often brings more anxiety. Speech balloon: expectations rise with income, and the joy of financial gain fades quickly. The more people have, the more they feel pressured to protect, maintain, and grow their wealth. This can lead to excessive risk-taking, sleepless nights, and financial paranoia. Light bulb lesson: true financial peace doesn't come from endless accumulation, it comes from knowing you have enough. Your money, your life, personalizing financial success. One of the most important lessons in the psychology of money is that money should serve your life, not the other way around. Speech balloon: no one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. People often spend money to impress others, but in reality, most people are too busy with their own lives to care. Rather than chasing external validation, focus on what truly makes you happy. Light bulb actionable steps: heavy checkmark, define what financial success means to you, not society. Heavy checkmark, use money as a tool to create meaningful experiences. Heavy checkmark, prioritize freedom, security, and happiness over material excess. Key takeaways from Session 7, heavy checkmark, saving money matters more than earning more. Your savings rate is your real wealth building tool. Heavy checkmark, rewire your mindset on saving. It's about buying freedom, not restricting yourself. Heavy checkmark, survival maximization. Play the long game, not the risky game. Heavy checkmark, more money doesn't always mean more happiness. Be mindful of rising expectations. Heavy checkmark, define your own financial goals. Stop worrying about what others think. Tails: you win, the power of outliers in financial success. Morgan Housel highlights that in both life and investing, a small number of events drive the majority of outcomes. Speech balloon: a good investing strategy relies on a few big winners. The key is to stay invested long enough to benefit from them. Think of companies like Apple, Amazon, or Google. A handful of investments like these have driven most of the stock market's long-term growth. The same principle applies to life. A few right decisions or opportunities can have an outsized impact. Light bulb key lesson: patience is everything. You don't need to get every decision right. Stick with your strategy and give compounding time to work. Don't get discouraged by slow progress, the biggest wins come late. You and me, personal finance is personal. Housel emphasizes that there is no universal path to financial success because everyone has different goals, values, and timelines. Speech balloon: do not copy others blindly. What works for someone else may not work for you. Some people are comfortable taking risks for higher returns. Others value safety and security. There's no right or wrong, there's only what works for you. Hammer and wrench: ask yourself, heavy check mark, what level of risk can I sleep with at night? Heavy check mark, what does financial freedom mean to me? Heavy check mark, am I pursuing goals because I want them or because others expect them? The seduction of pessimism: why bad news sells. Humans are wired to react strongly to bad news. In finance, this makes people overly cautious or even paralyzed when markets decline. Speech balloon: optimism sounds like a sales pitch. Pessimism sounds like someone trying to help you. However, the long-term trajectory of progress economically and technologically has historically been upward. Glowing star key takeaway: don't let fear dominate your decisions. Accept that downturns are normal and temporary. Long-term optimism is the most rational stance in finance. Reasonable rational: why emotions matter. Housel explains that the best financial plan is not necessarily the most mathematically rational one. It's the one you can stick with over the long term. Speech balloon: a strategy that makes you sleep well at night is better than one that's theoretically perfect but keeps you awake. Shield practical approach: build a financial plan based on your emotional resilience. If market volatility causes you anxiety, adjust your strategy even if it means slightly lower returns. Your plan should be sustainable, not just optimal on paper. You'll change, planning for an uncertain future. Speech balloon: long-term planning is essential, but your ability to predict the future is limited. Your goals, desires, and circumstances will change. Flexibility is more important than rigidly sticking to a plan. Counterclockwise arrows button adaptability tips: heavy checkmark, keep your expenses low to stay nimble. Heavy checkmark, avoid locking yourself into financial decisions that limit future options. Heavy checkmark, focus on building options and freedom into your financial life. The final lesson: money is a tool for a better life. At its core, the psychology of money teaches that money's greatest value is the freedom and control it gives you over your life. Speech balloon: the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. Wealth is not about flashy cars, big houses, or luxury goods. It's about autonomy, choice, and peace of mind. Seedling final reflections: use money to craft a life you enjoy. Don't compare your journey to others. Success is living life on your own terms. Direct hit final key takeaways: heavy checkmark, a few big wins shape success. Stay invested for the long haul. Heavy checkmark, personal finance is personal. Design a plan that fits your life. Heavy checkmark, don't fear pessimism. Optimism wins over time. Heavy checkmark, be reasonable, not just rational. Emotionally sustainable plans last longer. Heavy checkmark, plan for change. Flexibility leads to long-term success. Heavy checkmark, freedom is the ultimate wealth. Use money to buy time, choices, and peace. Glowing star. And that's a wrap on The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I hope these insights help you build a richer, freer life.